So let's get back to electric vehicles and Tesla. So how did you get into Tesla? All right.
As I was saying earlier, yeah, when my I remember growing up, I'd seen one or two Teslas, and you see them, and you're like, "What car is this?" Right? Because one thing Tesla does is very, very simple badging.
Sorry, growing up.
Teslas have been around for the last 10 to 12 years, and so I haven't owned one from the beginning, right?
Okay.
So I would say, yeah, I saw a few every now and then, and one thing that is typical of Teslas is very, very simple badging. Not too many IDs on the vehicle for you to know what it is. So every time you would see it, you'd be like, oh, what car is that? And if somebody around you knew what it was, they would tell you. If nobody knew, everybody would just forget about it. And when I thought of trying EVs, it came up as the big name. But of course, the big thing that put everybody off about Teslas was price. Because typically, if you are buying a Lamborghini or a Bugatti or any of the big boys and you're being told to spend 200,000 plus, it was okay because it's a whole world of its own. But
The
Tesla,
buying status.
right. Tesla
Luxury.
wasn't really, Tesla wasn't really there, not because it didn't have it, but very, very few people would put it in that class. All right. It was too quiet. Literally and figuratively. So
And you don't want to stop that much and go silent.
right. And people who bought it were rather, more of conserved lifestyle people, right? So they don't make too much noise. So unlike the Bugattis and everything you see in videos and hear about it, Tesla wasn't splurging or splashing anything. So the price kept.
Which year was this? Just to put it in context.
The first one was about 5 years ago.
Okay, so 2015.
Yeah.
That's Model S era.
Yes. You only had 3 options then. More of 2 options. It was actually X and S and Roadster. Right?
Yeah, the first Roadster.
Yeah, and the Roadster had a crazy weight and it was too small for my style. And as a family man, my only option was S or the X then. And they had the S with the extra 2 seats in the trunk, which they had stopped making, and the X with the Falcon doors, which were very, very fancy, but it was worth that price tag. So after that taste, you could say that there was no going back. But right after that, the 3 launched a year or two. Unfortunately,
so you bought the Model X.
Yes, we had a $15,000 incentive, which I just got in Canada.
But how was the buying process? We're talking about your first EV. This video, a lot of Africans are going to watch it, and they want to experience your thought process.
Okay, the move into the X was not as exciting as the move into the Model 3, I would say.
Okay.
Wow.
Because the move into the X was more of experimental, not knowing what to expect. But the move into the 3 was actually crazy, I'll put it, because nobody knew what the car looked like.
Okay.
All we knew was whether you've had the EV exposure. We call it the EV bug over here, right? So if you've caught the EV bug, you would hear about a new EV coming out called a Model 3, which would be about $35,000 which was 1/3 the price of the X, right? So it was more of economics, right? And whether you tasted any of the Teslas or any other EV, you have that bug knowing that electric vehicles are superior in performance, acceleration, everything. So you want one. But you don't know what this car looks like, and they're taking $1,000 deposit from you. You're supposed to go and queue up sometime before 6 a.m. at a mall in Toronto to put down a deposit so that you will be in line We didn't know. We had no idea. We just knew it was a sedan.
This is like the early iPhones.
No, but at least they were, it was kind of launched. You had an idea. But with this, Tesla is very efficient at not leaking images.
Yeah, I've observed.
It was a sedan or a saloon car. So the closest is, it's a small model S for half the price.
Okay.
Everything was based on estimates. That was going to cost you $50,000 of our currency, and go and put on $1,000. We'll call you in 2 years to pick up your car.
Imagine, that's crazy, man.
Right? So that's what I'm saying. That experience is totally different.
Okay. See, I think what I'm trying to get from you, is how did you catch the bug? Because I cannot think of many people who spend what, 75, 80 something $1,000 for an electric car when they don't have any idea.
That's what I was saying. That
so is it that you did a test drive?
The X is fancy, so it's different. Okay. So typically for me, even today, my dad had a lot of cars, and so that rubbed on all of us.
Yeah.
Where we're growing up, and as guys, we've loved cars, and I bought a ton of cars. I bought a ton of cars, and that ended up making me start selling most of my used cars to my friends, because I would chase deals from BMW and Mercedes. Tesla is the only dealership I've never had a deal from.
Yeah.
It's the only car company I've paid full price. Right? I mean, this Volvo, this Volvo I'm talking about, I got it for about $18,000 less.
Okay.
Wow.
Right? Because I washed it with cash. The same way my Pathfinder, I got it for $16,000 less. Even my Toyota Highlander, I got it for about. So I always know how to walk in there, driving the right car, speaking the right language, and getting a deal. Right? Wow. So buying cars for me was exciting. It was more of an experiment. And each time, including my first EV, all of that was part of my experience process. I'm going into a dealership to pick a deal. But the big change was the 3. That's what I'm saying, where you knew not what you're going to get. All you knew was you're putting money down, and for 2 years.
Why did you do it? Why did you do it?
That's what I'm saying. That's
I keep coming back to this because I believe that it is central. It's a central thesis that people here in Africa don't get or are not getting yet.
So if I take the African in me, right? For the 3, my attraction was I can get the same quality of Tesla, the same performance for much less.
Yeah.
Right? We still have that incentive going.
Because it's a newer technology.
Yes. And up till today, I say it, that I don't know. So I'm thinking of starting an EV. There's no electric vehicle rental business here in North America up till date. And I hope nobody steals my idea from you. The only reason I've not been able to do it full time is because of insurance. And maybe that is what will make me go back for an X and an S to join my fleet again.
Okay, sorry to cut in, but the rental service, I don't know how it's going to be. I don't want you to expose your idea right now, but I understand that Canada do not give Uber a chance just because of their
No. What it is when Uber started, they were really taking the market. Taxis are extremely expensive here. My first taxi in Canada, the first time I took a taxi in Canada, the first and probably only time I took a taxi was from Toronto Airport to Kitchener about 6 years ago, and I paid $390 for me and my family. That's how expensive taxis are for a 1 hour, 30 minutes drive.
From that day you repented of taxis.
Sorry?
From that day you repented of taxis.
That's the longest and most expensive taxi I've taken in my life till date.
Wow.
Right? That same journey on Uber will cost me maximum $110.
Okay.
right? So it was a holiday. I was paying double fare, and then I had to take a van taxi. So now look at this cost comparison, right? Where Uber will be 100 and something, and the taxi was almost $400 plus tip.
There's no contest.
So when Uber comes in, taxi drivers are not happy. But you can't blame taxi drivers because licensing was so expensive and setting up, right? So when Uber came in with cheaper fares and ride sharing, which was affordable for everybody, they were losing so much. So they had to push to make Uber drivers pay tax because Uber wasn't taxed in the first year or two. And so all that dynamic, right? But what I'm talking about with regards to rental, as of now, I have friends with Teslas who get accidents and their insurance companies cannot rent electric vehicles for them because regular insurance companies have to give you close to what you're driving whilst they fix your car.
Oh, okay.
Right? And then regular rental companies don't usually have electric vehicles. Enterprise and a few have started, but those are more of hybrids. I haven't seen full EVs. I've seen hybrids in their fleet. Okay. And then I had to put some of my cars on Turo and ride sharing and even do Uber a couple of times just to let people experience it. Right? So because consumers don't have a place to go and test EVs, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't. So in my case, back then it was, and I haven't been a fan of test drives. Up till today, if I'm buying a car, I go with one of my Teslas and I let the salesperson test my car. And I tell them, if your car can impress, yeah, I did it with a Volvo, I did it with a Toyota, I did it with my Ford. I tell them, if your car can impress me the way my car impressed you, I'll drive it. If not, just do my paperwork. Right? So that's the big thing with EVs. You need people to drive and test it. And I've put my car on Turo and I've had at least 5 people buy because they took my car on Turo. I used to give out.
Do you have a referral code for Tesla?
My referral code?
Do you have
yes,
one?
Yes.
You have a referral code.
Yeah.
That's the best.
Okay.
That's better.
So then the Model 3, it means that a lot of people put the deposit down.
We didn't know what it looked like.
But they are taking a test drive in an electric, in an EV before, most of them.
Most of the people in line, yes, had either tested some EV or just, Tesla is now affordable, I'm going for it.
Okay.
Right? And we all queued up, funny, near an Apple store in the mall, right? A lot of people there. And this time the queue wasn't for Apple, it was for Model 3. And then the launch was done in California that night. And then eventually we got to see what it looks like.
Oh, so you guys actually made a deposit before the launch?
Before, that's what I'm trying to say, that experience
I didn't get that.
Before.
I mean, I thought that was why you were questioning more, actually.
Right? So
I thought that those were the exceptions, not the norm.
Yeah, it was the first. It was the first reasonable price Tesla. Remember, the same way they took reservations and prices for the S and the Roadster, right? But with this time, it was more of mass. So they had a couple of thousands.
Near mass market.
Yeah, they had a couple of thousands put in reservations around the world. And this is where, okay, our money is down. Bye-bye. And I told myself, well, hopefully I get it before one of my birthdays. And I had nothing up until, I want to say 2018, February or March. They called me to confirm I got a message in my email and I got a phone call to confirm my finance and whatever, how I'll pay for it and what else. Like, yeah, I would, pay cash and what have you, any discount. I tried my usual strategies, nothing. And I confirmed my color choice and I hadn't driven a sedan in maybe 8 years. I was typically always buying 4-wheel drives.
Okay.
So the Jeeps and what have you. And so going for a sedan, I at least wanted an all-wheel drive. And I was told, well, we're only getting the all-wheel drive long range coming. Okay. So if I didn't want it, I'd have to wait another year or something. I'm like, forget about it. I don't care if it's zebra colored with pink wheels. I waited 2+ years, I would take it. Right?
And pay the extra
originally,
due.
no, it was actually cheaper for the
Okay.
long range vehicle, right? On paper. And what it was originally my configuration was for blue.
Okay.
Because growing up, my mom had a ton of green cars, green house, green everything. I started blue house, blue cars. So probably owned like over 10 blue cars. I ordered blue, and I paid extra for the paint, everything. And that was it. And I left to Alberta. I was in the field inspecting oil and gas projects when I got a phone call that my car was going to be ready in Toronto that weekend if I was available. I'm like, there's no way I'll get a flight. Right? So I pushed it to the following weekend for delivery. And it was a black one. So I was like, whoa.
They saw the colors.
That's not what I wanted, but it's available. Okay. So I was initially against. I was like, no, I don't want a black one. I ordered a blue one. I want a blue one. And he was like, look, I'm not being racist or anything, but it's the same swag. And
black man, the guy is black.
Hold on. I was like, yo, I have a thing for blue cars. He's like, look, you're a brother, I'm a brother. You're gonna be the only brother in the neighborhood with your Tesla. So don't lose the opportunity.
Wait, so this guy was black.
Right. So he was telling me that I'm gonna be one of the first black men in Canada to get. So I better take it so I can enjoy that privilege of being one of the early black owners. I'm like, that's a very nice way to sell me a color I don't like.
That's the work of a system.
So,
make you feel good.
So I'm flying down for it, and it's my home to my work site is 3 flights.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's 3 flights, so it's stressful, but came down. And there are already videos online. They had started deliveries in the US as well, so at least there were a few of the cars on the road. The only downside now is the price was way much higher than anticipated. Right? Okay. The first ones that came full configuration, you're spending about 110,000 Canadian, which originally we were hoping to spend about 70, 80, because that was higher than the advertised, right? But well, like the interest was there. So came in for the car, and then there were a couple of things which were not known, like the glass roof that changes color.
Okay.
Right? And they stopped making those after the first year. So only those of us with the original editions have the roof that changes color in the cold or the rain or what have you. And then also, when they started mass production and they reduced the prices, they compensated it with the range increase and a power boost. So only those of us with the original Model 3s can boast of 550K of range, as well as extra 5% power, right? So they did a couple of things. But then the excitement, so I ended up wrapping my first Model 3. That was what I had in the background before. I can bring it back.
The blue.
Yeah, color. So that's, as you can see here. And I had a ton of test drive requests.
From friends and family?
From strangers.
Okay.
I think one thing that was captivating about it was the color choice. So this was the 3M multicolor wrap. There we go. If you look at the blue one here in the top right corner, in the daytime, it will look solid blue. At night, it will be purple. And based on how much sunlight was hitting it, you would have a light blue. So you have about 3-4 colors in there. So people didn't know what car it was. You see only the T badging on there. The rims were, so it drew a ton of people. And that's what made people stopped the car. I remember driving to from here to Maryland, and I had 2 cops on the way stopped me just to look at the car. Like it was the most exciting experience ever, right?
Okay.
Oh, what is this? This is the car we heard about. And one guy asked me if I can no. Yeah, what he had said to me, he stopped me and was like, yo, I envy you so much, man. I'm like, okay, what's going on? I was like, see that huge screen you got? I have to pull people over for holding their small 5-inch phones. And you get away with it, right? Because the Model 3 was the first car which had nothing on the instrument panel. The huge screen. People thought it wouldn't fly, but now everybody's copying it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so I started, I signed up on Uber from when we had our usual EV meetings, and we talked about how to share. One of the guys pitched in that, okay, since people have heard about this car but not even seen it, it was Christmas, right? 2 of us started to do Uber. You know, I did a couple of rides, and it was so exciting. I just got addicted, and I started giving the rides for free. Like I'll pick people and they'll turn off the app just to get a free ride. And I had my GoPro cameras running, and the reactions were crazy. Like the mayor of the city.
You have those videos, right?
I still have a couple of old videos. I can find them. The mayor of the city was following. I picked up a hockey player. I picked up some radio folks. Like it was crazy. A lot of people were just following for the experience, and people were blown away. You know, because the speed was massive. The fastest of them was the purple one. The white one was the last one I picked. That's the 2019. And eventually I started taking black. So I took a black one in between so that I have one of each of the 3 variants, right?
Okay.
And all these are 100% the same on the outside. But the features that were different was things like full self-drive, things like charging speed, where it should have about 10 to 20 minutes difference in charging speed, where you have range from 550 to 400, right, in between the 3 cars. And the difference in price was a whopping about $50,000, but they all look exactly the same outside. So that's one thing Tesla has simplified as well, where you don't know how much, unlike the other cars, where if you look behind my Volvo, you see a badge and that says Elite or whatever. Or if you look behind the Toyota, you see Hybrid XLE Limited, right? Apart from the dual model badging that even Tesla had to mail that to owners afterwards. When we bought the cars, there was nothing. The spoiler and the dual badge came months afterwards, and they call you come in, and then you either get it attached or they mail it to you, right? So these were cars where somebody is spending the cheapest of $70,000 to the most of about $120,000, and you couldn't tell which was which. The only way you know is if we were both at the stoplight, and I stepped on, I am 0 to 100 in 3 points, and you are 4 points, right? So all these simplifications, and that's what I was saying, that the 3 cars are all different years, but they are exactly the same today because of updates.
Let me take it back a bit. You didn't say it explicitly, but you have owned all the various Teslas except the Roadster currently.
Yes, I'm still in line for my Y. I got my phone call for the Y.
So when is that coming? We ought to do that video.
Right. It's none of us have received in Canada. We're all on standby. They called me to confirm. So the call was typically, hey, we know your Y is in order. We're sorry it's late. What is your situation? I'm like, I'm ready to take it yesterday. Right? And they're like, okay, good. Any trading, whatever. I'm like, no, just get it to me. Right? So they've made a number of calls when I spoke to my inside people. And Fremont was supposed to open 2 days ago, but that's a whole different.
We'll come there. We'll come there.
That's a whole different issue. But as soon as it opens, I know we're going to be one of the first few people, and then the vibe will start again, where the whole country you only have a few owners, and everybody wants to test.
How many Model 3s do you have now?
I had to buy 3 Model 3s so that it would make sense.
That's crazy, man.
I mean, is it that you have the money to blow?
No, that's what I'm saying. That it's more of it's the only car that you can call it an investment. So let me put this into perspective. My Model 3 from 2019, which is a year old, okay? The Volvo 2019, Toyota Highlander 2019. All these three cars, the Model 3 has the most mileage. It's the smallest of them. But if I went to the market today, the Model 3 has lost only about $6,000 in value. The Volvo, which is the most expensive of them, has lost about $25,000 in value. And the Toyota has lost about $13,000 in value when I checked.
The Volvo is electric too?
The Volvo is a plug-in hybrid, the XC90. Right? It's their luxurious Momentum edition that Volvo prides itself, they think is the best car in the world.
I mean, like, are you collecting? Are you a car collector? I mean, I like to be like you.
It's more of the experience. You see how now I can speak with authority about the different EVs.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So when we have meetings, so if the pandemic wasn't here, we'd meet the Friday of every month, and most new owners and people who are coming in would like to hear the numbers. Right? I could tell you authoritatively that I was spending $35 to $40 a month if I charged at home. Right, and I have data to prove this.
As compared to if you're driving your normal petrol cars.
Right, and that was what was the big driving force for me. I know I had a lot of push from members in the community, start a YouTube channel and do this, and it's hard enough managing family and work and research and to add all these extra. That's why the rental is more of my forte, because all I have to do is to set it up.
Yeah.
As opposed to everything else. So that's another conversation for another day. But what I was saying, if you look at the difference in the loss, right? $6,000 for a car, which is one full year, as opposed to the Toyota and the Volvo being half a year, because they're all 6 months and 3 months and whatever. And yet still, 21,000 of the Volvo, 13,000 of the Toyota, and only 6,000. Right?
It says something.
Yes. So when you make such investments, you don't freak out as much as, oh, I bought a Chevy. No, you're gone. I bought a Jeep. No, you're gone. You will lose 50,000 in 5 years.
Did you figure this out before making those investments?
I found out from the first Tesla.
The Model X.
The cost of the Model X pretty much got me 3 Model 3s. Aside the first Model 3 being
Can you explain
overpriced.
that? Can you explain that?
So here, Model X's full spec back then, prices have all come down, but after tax and everything, you're going to 200,000. Today, with a low price of Model 3, even performance, you're looking at 80,000 before tax, right? So ideally, parking one Model X was equal to parking 3 Model 3s. And my wife is not a big fan of all that. You'll be getting kids out and your doors open and the whole world is looking at you, butterfly doors, right?
It attracts attention.
Yeah, I'm not too much into the attention forte, so I enjoy the step down. And with the Y coming and the Cybertruck pending, of course, and the Semi as well, I'm lined up for all of them. Either I'll get rid of some of them.
What do you want the Semi for?
Experience again. Right. So after the
Sorry,
experience,
I'm sitting outside. It's Africa. It's raining.
That's okay. After the experience, then we'll know if it's worth even doing a tracking business. Okay. I have another friend who uses Tesla for Uber as well, and we're both looking at getting into the tracking. But you want to experience it first.
Okay. I think we'll have another video where we talk about the cost comparison. So the audience can expect such a video. I think it'll be exciting. in your opinion, which is the best Tesla currently? S, X, and 3. Which is the best?
You cannot have that because they are all in different segments. Okay. For space, it's still the X.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
Right. So if I didn't depend on the Volvo or the Toyota for the 7-seater space, I would need an X. Does it make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. Because here we haul and move a lot of you can't tie things on top of your car.
Right? We have different categories.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And again, I would happily take a 3 over an S because I mentioned on other platforms, the cost of maintaining an X or an S is a bit obsolete. You have slower charging, you have a higher maintenance, and you have a higher original cost, right?
Okay.
So of all the 3s, I still haven't spent even $1,000 on anything after all these years.
I was going to say something, if you allow me. God sent me a write-up on Osborne effect, and further went down to explaining about a newer technology phasing out a current technology. Now, when you were talking about the investment you're making with those cars, are you not worried about the speed at which Tesla is evolving, and as well as other competitors that might come that will have a cheaper technology and a superior technology to what you currently have? What will happen to those investments?
The competitor I thought was worth it was Volvo, and that's why I went for the XC90. And I'm sorry, I was 100% disappointed.
Wow.
The only thing the Volvo has that the Tesla doesn't have are the 360 view cameras, which we can clearly do without.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
It's the only thing that I could, because the Volvo Momentum Elite package is very close to the Model X in pricing. Right? Is very. I'm just opening the Volvo app on my phone, and even the app is very primitive. So if
let's see.
If you look at my screen,
I think you can share the screenshots.
Yeah, I'll probably send. So if you look at my screen now, okay, the basic app for the Volvo XC90, I called it the Volvo. It gives you the location, the status of the battery fully charged, the temperature in the car, and it says remote engine start is not running, right?
Okay.
And then it tells you how much the fuel range will take you. Okay.
That's it.
Now, apart from the basic information it's giving you, it doesn't do anything else. And then it tells you, okay, everything looks good, right? And it gives you basic things, right? Okay. And that's it. I don't have any remote control access. I don't have any, unlike my Tesla, where if I switch to Tesla right now, I'm trying to switch. So, okay, I have one on screen. It's showing you I can unlock the car. I can open my trunk, lock my trunk. I can turn on fan, phone key, climate, location.
So you have remote control.
So yes, it gives me so much more. It gives me so much more. If I go to controls, I can open my windows, lock, unlock the vehicle, start the vehicle. And that's what made it easy for me to jump on Turo. And that's why I can easily set up things like rental and all that.
So even if you rent a car, you can limit the speed the person can.
I left a couple of cars at my charging point and work. And then if you called me, you'd go to the car and I unlock the car from here. I check who you are, validate. You open the car. I unlock the glove compartment. You take a card key, you're gone. You bring it back, you send me. It was 100% remote. It's perfect for this pandemic. I didn't have to show up to meet anybody.
Okay.
Right? I knew how you're driving. If I didn't like the way you're driving, I'll put on restrictions. If there was a problem, I would disable, put the car in valet mode, come pick up my car. And the Model 3 is way cheaper than, is about 60% the cost of the Volvo XC90.
How much does the Volvo?
The Volvo at full spec is 130,000.
So a car that is going for like 50,000 has more functionality.
Right.
Than that's like basically what 2.7 times the price.
That's the problem, right? I mean, with the lower entry Model 3, this is the highest of the Volvo XC90, the Momentum Elite package, right? And don't forget that I cannot do anything to this Volvo again. The features I bought are stuck. Right now, there's the 2020, which they've supposedly improved the battery tech. And instead of 29 kilometers of range, I hear you can get probably 40 kilometers. But this is stuck. But as I said, with my first Model 3, I bought it at 499 kilometers of range. And today it's showing 530 kilometers of range. Right?
Yeah.
After what, almost 3 years. So the car is evolving with the upgrade features you're getting. So you're not losing money. And that's what I'm saying, that even with the company now, if they had any inventory sitting from 2019, Tesla can sell all 2019 cars today with no issues, because it's exactly the same as 2020 with all the new features.
Anyway, my counter to that is that that's on the software side. But on the hardware side, they are also iterating. Okay, so I'm sure that 2020 Model 3 isn't the same as 2019 Model 3 from a hardware perspective.
Don't forget, the basic hardware is just the powertrain and the body. Anything that changed was the chipset, which the hardware 3 chipset is being put in for free for any owners who don't have it. So what are you saying? Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's not.
So the core is the hardware. Same. Okay, I think that
right. That. So there's not, people today are buying 2019s for the price of 2020s and they don't care.
Okay.
Right? Not because they don't know, but because you're getting exactly the same.
The same functionality.
Right? And if you're buying off the street, unlike the regular where the years make a difference, there's not much of a difference between the years here. You understand?
Okay.
So that is not a lost investment.
So when you give people these test drives, have you observed anybody who after taking the test drive was like, oh nah, electric cars are so much cool. I was expecting something different. I'm disappointed.
No. So one of my best experience with the free test drives I used to give, I had a teacher. She was about 60 years. She messaged me on my Facebook, the Tesla Owners Club, that she's thinking of buying, an EV, and she doesn't know if to go for a Bolt, which is cheaper, but one of the closest with regards to range, or a Tesla. And I was like, she just give me her address. I'll drive to her. I'll give her my car for, the afternoon, and then she should let me know what she thinks afterwards. So I met up with her. I gave her the car. She took it home, tried it. Her daughter tried it. Her husband tried it. No, she actually brought it back to me and called me later to let her husband try it. And then she called me a week after that she bought the car. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, great. I hope she got the $5,000 incentive, because it's still running. And the $5,000 incentive is for the simplest of them, the SR Plus. And she was like, no, I got the performance. And I'm like, okay.
This is
a 60-year-old teacher, close to retirement. After tasting EV, she wasn't ready.
I think. Well, I've not yet experienced a Tesla, but
right.
Even the design leader we experienced here.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, I mean, we were so excited.
Yeah, so she went all in.
Actually, I was going to learn how God came about his Tesla enthusiasm. How did you come about it, really?
Oh, okay. You want to?
Yeah, that's a good one. I've never heard that story.
Oh, okay. I think for me it was a roundabout way because I mean I was into entrepreneurship and one of the people I like to listen to talk is Mark Andreessen. I don't know if you know him. He's a venture capitalist.
Okay.
All right. So in 2012, 2012, he was giving a presentation and then he mentioned Elon Musk. So it was in passing that, oh, everybody's favorite entrepreneur now, Elon Musk, because of Tesla and SpaceX. So, okay. Before then, I've heard of Elon Musk. I mean, I've seen him talking about SpaceX and all that. So I decided to just Google the guy and see.
Or Hyperloop. Elon Musk was first famous for Hyperloop and all of that.
Well, that's not my story. My story was I had Mark Andreessen mention him in passing that he's everybody's favorite entrepreneur. And at the time I was wondering, who's that? Because Charlie Steve Jobs, man. So I decided to read a bit more about what he is doing. And you know my background is physics. From a physics perspective, his approach made absolute sense to me. Do you get what I'm saying? Because what he was talking about sustainability. I mean, when I talk to some of my economic friends, economists, those who are the economists, I mean, they have funny ideas. But from a physics perspective, if you have a finite resource, you cannot expect infinite growth from a finite resource. Okay? So if there's a way you can iterate and make an unsustainable system become sustainable, why not go for it? It makes so much sense. Okay, that's when I started reading a bit more about this whole EVs. So I was never like a climate person. My background is more, okay, from a physics and a business perspective, this makes sense. Okay, but what about implementation wise? And you see the approach, then I begin to follow. Okay, that is how I got into this whole space.
Yeah, that was nice, you know.
So you realize that when you talk to me, my focus is more on, okay, so what's the implications? How is it feasible? What's the implications? Unlike you quickly jump into, okay, so how can we do it? My mind is, okay, so if we need to do it, what's the implications? How does it affect people? Plan and unplan.
Yeah, you know, my own story was personal. I mean,
how
could I have a lot of crude oil in my backyard and I'll still be suffering to move in this country? So it doesn't make sense to me. I wanted to tell them to go to hell with that. That came about in 2011 when we had this Occupy Nigeria. They were planning to remove subsidy and having to be buying fuel at 240 naira and thereabouts. So that was just the whole story why I got into this space, looking for alternatives to fuel. I mean, it's all nice listening to Percy. I mean, who has had who has experienced Tesla 10 times over. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I think that I want to switch the conversation again. But before that, I want to make a comment. I think Thursday and Friday, this Thursday and Friday, we're supposed to have the Sixth Summit. But because of the COVID and the ban on public gatherings,
right. It popped up on my calendar.
Yes. Now, I realized at some point that some people be wondering why it was not changed into an online program. And the reason is because of the test drives. We want people, it's not just meant to be a program where people just come and hear people talking about this sustainable, electric vehicles, renewable energy, and power systems. But we also want people as much as possible to experience them. So, especially the cars, we want people to have the opportunity to do test drive. That is why it is not feasible to move the whole program online, and it has been shifted to next year. But Percy is one of our speakers. He'll be speaking about his EV journey as well as climate. So look forward to that.